Hello and welcome to Pinesdale. Last time we left off with Q and X just ending a friendly conversation as X's mafia boss walked into his bar. Q hightails out of the bar for plausible deniability reasons. And X looks at his eldest son, motions at him to take over bar duties for a bit, and then X and his boss walk into the office to have a private conversation. Once the office door closed, the mafia boss just got straight to the point. There's a truck out back with your alcohol delivery, X, and a couple bodies we need you to dispose of. So we're gonna put everything in the basement, body in those full-size freezers, and then, you'll do your thing, buddy. You've been batting 100% since we brought you on, and we're proud of you. Mafia boss had a nice and hearty build, just like the letter D. He was the kind of guy that gathered respect, but didn't necessarily put any hard work in himself. He's not a top-rank mafia boss, but you don't want to fuck with him either. Now that X has his assignment, he takes a little time to kind of kiss the ring, so to speak. Offers D a sandwich, burger, anything he fucking needs. D declines and gets back on the road to where he lives. And who gives a fuck town? Idaho. Now that that's taken care of, X goes back to the bar, thanks his son for keeping an eye on shit, grabs some fresh ice, and goes back to his normal bartending duties. It's not a good environment to go out into the woods and get rid of the bodies right now. A lot of the time, X likes to save it for the Lord's Day, so the townspeople are kinda preoccupied with church or just cooking a stick, making the week worth living. In the meantime, though, the bar is open at this point, but it's mostly just to get everything up and running for the night crowd. The town drunk likes to come in and hang out while they prep the place, get a couple in them, which is fine with everyone at the bar. There's a lot worse things happening here than fucking C and his drinking habits. X has quite the soft spot for C. He's just kind of the classic small-town, eccentric, smart dude that just struggles to coexist with these people. I wouldn't go ask and see how his day was. He takes that as a fucking offense. C's family came from the big city where people do not ask you how your day's going. Out of respect. Now, I like that Mayor Q, but that U of his is out of control. She asked me how I was doing, which you know annoys me. But then when I grunted, she followed it up with, "How's the job search going?" To which I reply, "Well, at least they don't fucking test your pee for alcohol, am I right, you?" That shut her up real nice. Why does you even want to know so she can gossip with the rest of the women and snarky men in this town? Maybe if these idiots read a fucking book instead of, gossiped all fucking day, this city would have more than 12 cents to its name. And then you even had the fucking gall to tell me that Q needed a secretary at the mayor's office, and that they would love for me to apply. Bitch. Although X was distracted by the bodies in the basement, he had heard enough of C's complaint to know that the guy should probably consider this. So X says to C, "Buddy, last week you came in here and ate jam packets and nothing else because you couldn't afford anything. You're too competent for that shit, so maybe you was just, looking out for you." C's only response was, "I like jam." X goes, "You're goddamn near the hostess of this bar. Find a job that pays you in something besides jam and Bloody Marys." And at that, C took a handful of jam and walked out the door. Isn't it funny that we always try to force the contented into something else? C is more than happy to just be the town drunk for these people, but this piece of shit small town wants better for him. Because Pinesdale is one big family. Also, people keep reporting that someone's been shitting in their yard, and we're pretty sure it's him. And as if C had looked at the clock before storming out, Z recognized that it was time to go pick up the boys from Pinesdale Elementary. X needed to pick up his child and Q's kid. They did that best friend thing where they popped them out at the same time for everyone's convenience. Little X and little Q were both in the 5th grade. And their teacher just happened to be X's, X. Back in his youth, he wasn't necessarily a bad person, but did come from a degenerate background. Think of Cheers' Sam Malone when he was younger. Just imagine that. You pretty much get X. He's not gonna go out of his way to fuck anyone over, but he's a good time. to say the least. When you come from a good time family, it's just hard to mingle with the others. By that I mean like the perfect family that yells at each other once a decade or whatever. That was the teacher, his ex, Miss A. So Papa X usually parks a block or two away and the boys walk to him. Seeing Miss A is just a little bit too much of a proof of concept for him. Perfect family girl became a nice-hearted school teacher. While he's working for the mafia, has 2 bodies to dispose of this week. And X is legitimately happy that he's got his O, and his 2 kids, and his friends in Q and U, and the bar. But it really all reeks of coming from a good time family. If I could have been a slightly different version of me, in a slightly different environment growing up, maybe right now, I'd have A, and we'd never yell at each other, and she would make me budget our finances. That thought added just a little blood to his penis. How sexy would it be if we budgeted? And just like that, adult thinking time was over. The door opened and Lil X and Lil Q hop in. The boys were in mid-conversation. X still wasn't giving them much attention after the initial greeting. He was just kind of zoning out, driving home. And then X caught a key word. Super. Ah, okay. So they're talking about the Seattle Supersonics. Again. I truly barely need to listen to these kids when they talk. I don't know what they would do without them. The Cardinals in the NFL are on like their 4th city. Like, Phoenix is gonna fucking work out. It's gonna be 5 by 2000. At least Seattle fucking loves the Supersonics, so they got a good handle on it. I'm sure they'll stick around. It might split Little Q's soul in half, though. He's got the politician blood in him. I could see that kid just rising up in the mafia to get the kind of money needed to bring the Supersonics back to Seattle. In that hypothetical situation, that'll never happen. And as if the radio DJ was in his mind, Woody Guthrie's Pretty Boy Floyd came on the radio. Yes, that is a good question. In this hypothetical future where the Seattle Supersonics leave Seattle, which goes on to break Little Q and Little X, will they make all their money and be a more Robin Hood-y Pretty Boy Floyd character? Or will they become CEOs and run their companies like the tyrants I know them to be? I'm pretty sure Lil Q wouldn't allow potty breaks for his employees even. But like America would put up with that. If it takes my postman an extra day to deliver mail to me because he had to take a shit somewhere, well, that's the price of being human. I don't care at all. But Little Q just demands more than that. The look this little fucker gave me in the bar one day because I didn't get him his kitty cocktail in a quote-unquote reasonable amount of time haunts me. He truly is the son of Q and U. Not that my little X isn't just smelling of good time family and cigarettes. Well, if the boys ever do find their way into just massive amounts of money, I hope they can take the good out of Pretty Boy Floyd's life and leave all the bad. Give the townspeople of Pinesdale as much money as they need to keep their land in place. And let's leave the murder to the mafia. As that thought left his brain, he found himself at home and he just turned to the boys and said, "Tacos or burgers?" Little Q and Little X excitedly say, "Tacos!" And the 3 of them hustle into the house. X's last thought on the subject was, "May the Supersonics never leave Seattle." And that's where we're leaving off with Pinesdale today. Remember, we got a couple bodies in the bar of the basement that need disposing of. I'm assuming that's where next week's headed. Hope everyone has a good one.